Carol. Careful.
Okay, we're just waiting for the Zoom, the YouTube live. So there's,
Chairman, don't forget to tell your colleagues about Eric's secret.
I don't see Eric anywhere yet.
Secret?
So what is he, a Cinco de Mayo guy?
No, yesterday was his birthday.
Yeah, that, yesterday was,
Eric's birthday.
right?
That's starting to explain a little bit here.
okay, Mr. Bernstein should be coming on board.
There he is.
You gonna sing?
Should we do a rendition real quick?
And what does that explain exactly, Carl?
What's that?
The fact that my birthday is May the 5th. While I wasn't in, I could hear you all.
We're trying to figure that out. We don't know.
I would be happy to announce that yesterday was the 25th anniversary of my 39th birthday.
There you go.
I'll let you all do the math. I haven't seen Doug in like 3 hours.
Eric Felice Cuplianos.
Thank you. I remember when it was just my birthday before the tamale and the taco and the beer people figured out it was
Now you can't get a restaurant reservation
another
on your
holiday
birthday.
they could celebrate. Yeah,
That's right. You can't get in.
that's all right. I was on a planning board meeting last night. One of the other attorneys is also May 5th. So the two of us are in the middle of a planning board meeting on our birthdays. So
High school is over. There's no days off on your birthday.
yeah, there is if you determine it's going to happen, but that doesn't happen. Thank you all. I believe we have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
It does appear to be. I gotta change my view.
Mr. Emick, I guess, has not gotten into the car yet.
That's funny, Eric.
He's in the car.
He's
He's
not
in
at
the
a
car.
stakeout yet.
I'm here.
Talk your
I just
baseball.
won't tell you
Kurt.
where.
We appreciate
Do we know about Ron and Deputy Mayor?
Haven't heard, no.
All right.
Like I said, we do have a quorum. Do we want to wait a couple of minutes or?
Up to all of you. You've got 9 people.
I think we will start, and if they get
Okay, so we're all
here,
set to go. Mr. Chairman?
I do believe so. I'm ready to go.
Okay, let me just get the record going.
Okay.
And we need to let the public in, obviously.
Okay, I'm going to start the recording. And we should be live recording.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the tongue-tied Hillsborough Planning Board meeting of May 6, 2021. Please note this meeting will be conducted virtually. All board members, staff, and consultants will be participating remotely. The public will be given an opportunity to participate remotely through the advertised Zoom link or optional phone number identified in the public meeting notice. Members of the public should use the raise hand feature in Zoom or by pressing *9 if participating by telephone to indicate that they would like to be recognized to speak. Meeting and application documents have been made available on the Townships website on their civic clerk portal in accordance with the public meeting notice. Applicants will be presenting remotely and will identify themselves before testifying. That, please join me in a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the
United States of America.
To the republic.
to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be advised this meeting has been duly advertised according to Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, otherwise known as the Sunshine Law. Notice of the 2021 annual meeting schedule has been provided to the officially designated newspapers, the township clerk, posted on the bulletin board at the Hillsborough Township Municipal Complex, and posted to the township's website. Additional notice has been provided to communicate that this meeting is being conducted according to the governor's executive orders and pursuant to Public Law 2020, C-11, which allows 4 meetings to be conducted electronically and pursuant to the local finance notices recently established in the state of New Jersey. And before we go to roll call, did we promote? Okay, because I thought I did see Ron, so, oh, there he is. Welcome, Ron.
Thank you.
Okay, so with that, may I have a roll call of both board members and board township professionals?
Deputy Mayor Delcor is absent. Mr. Emick,
Emick here.
Mr. Ciccarelli,
Here.
Mr. Wagner,
Here.
Mr. Peason,
Here.
Mr. Santa Romita,
Here.
Mr. Scobo,
Here.
Mr. Hashtag,
Here.
Mayor Lapani,
Here.
Vice Chair Julian,
Here.
Chair Sirachi,
Here.
and Mr. Horry,
Here.
Mr. Maskey,
Here.
and Mr. Bernstein.
Here.
Okay, thank you. We do not have considerations of meeting minutes nor of resolutions. We do have one item for planning board business involving Green Care Farms LLC, file number 19-PV-21-SV, an extension of time submitted through September 28th of this year. Mr. Maskey or Eric?
Mr. Maskey.
The extension, they're still trying to figure out what exactly it is they're applying for.
Okay. It's simple enough. Anyone have any questions? Okay,
David, you'll get me the backup.
Sure. Yeah, we have this signed form. It's
Yeah, well,
September 28th.
We'll need to do the resolution to extend, so.
Okay.
so with that, I will move to business from the
No,
floor.
you need a motion.
need a
to
motion.
approve.
Sorry. Okay, may I have a motion to approve the extension?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second, Santa Romita.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ciccarelli,
Yes.
Mr. Wagner,
Yes.
Mr. Peason,
Yes.
Mr. Santa Romita,
Yes.
Mr. Scobo,
Yes.
Mr. Hashtag,
Yes.
Mayor Lapani,
Yes.
Vice Chair Julian,
Yes.
Chair Sirachi.
Yes. Next, we will now go to business from the floor for matters not on the agenda. If anyone in the audience would like to address this board for any items on on this evening's agenda, please either raise your virtual hand or by pressing *9 on your phone.
Not on tonight's agenda.
Not on tonight's agenda. Not on tonight's agenda. Wow. I do see a hand raised. It's telephone, so please promote them and they've muted themselves.
Hello?
Yep. Sorry. So please state your name and address for the record.
Maria Janusik, 720 East Freck Avenue, Manville, New Jersey. Also a Hillsborough Township property owner, Block 86, Lot 3, 2155, Camp Lane Road. I have a question on the zoning map. There's a section that's identified as RCA. What is that section?
Maskey.
It's a single family zone.
What is it?
Single family zone,
Well, what does the RCA stand for?
regional contribution agreement.
Regional Contribution Agreement. So is Hillsborough a receiving municipality of another municipality's affordable housing requirement?
That's an old zone that was set up when there were regional contribution agreements. They were abolished quite some years ago. Eric might be able to fill in the dates a little better.
They've been gone for probably at least the last decade, if not more. And I'm unaware at the time, probably even longer than that, maybe 15 years or more. And I'm unaware that the township ever received any money for a regional contribution agreement. We're not the type of town that would normally qualify for same.
Okay, so then why is there a section that's called regional contribution agreement?
I would say it's just a housekeeping measure that needs to be taken care of, but it's not a high priority.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that.
It's just a housekeeping matter. I mean, it's not anything that can be acted upon. And it's just not a high priority at this point. I'm sure for the township committee to be expending, funds for.
Okay, so that information regarding that RCA, who would have information on that? The zoning department or the administrator or engineering? Who would have information on that RCA?
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Janasek was in our office this afternoon and we discussed this. I showed her where it is on the map. We gave her a copy of the ordinance. That's really all there is to it.
Okay,
The title of the zone is really immaterial. It's just the title they chose at the time, and was, as Mr. Bernstein said, it was a good 15 or so years ago.
What I wanted to find out, looking at the zoning map, you don't have block and lot, and so what I'm trying to get an answer to is how do you find out which blocks and lots are within different certain zones, like in the RCA zone or in the
You look at the zoning map as I showed you this afternoon. You look at a street map and look at the zone boundary, and that tells you what properties are in the zone.
So on a street map, it's going to show what zone they're in?
No, the zoning map shows it, but it's based on a street map.
So I need to have both maps in order to see what's in a zone.
Well, the zone is no longer correct, Mr. Maskey. It's a defunct zone, regardless.
No, it's I'm not sure the name of the development. It's up off of Dukes Parkway. I'm not sure the name of it. I mean, the zone is still, they just named it RCA. I don't know why, but it has it's one of the single family residential zones.
Green Hills?
So regarding the Sherman redevelopment plan, so that property, how is that shown on the zoning map?
As soon as we update the zoning map, it will be shown as the Sherman Rehabilitation Area.
Sherman so that hasn't been updated on the zoning map yet?
Not the physical map, no.
Oh, so is it somewhere else, recorded somewhere else? As the Sherman redevelopment, what is it, Sherman redevelopment area?
It was out in the ordinance that adopted the zone.
Okay, so it's in the ordinance, but is it recorded anywhere else, any in the engineering department or on any kind of map?
There was a map attached to the ordinance.
That's the only place that it's recorded, is that map attached to the ordinance.
Correct.
Now, so block 86, lot 21 was divided into two separate parcels. So the one parcel is Sherman redevelopment area, and what is the second parcel called?
Same thing.
Also Sherman redevelopment area?
Correct.
So, all right, and those both are in the I3 light industrial zone. So did anything have to be done as far as how you can have residential housing in an industrial zone?
It's not in an industrial zone.
It's in the I3 light industrial zone.
It's in the redevelopment zone.
And that's how it's going to be shown on the zoning map, redevelopment zone?
Correct.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else in the audience that would like to address the board on matters not on this evening's agenda? Okay. Do not see any, so we're moving on.
Mr. Chairman, I believe there's an ordinance consideration on tonight as well as the JSM application.
Yes, and I was gonna take that out of order and just go to the application first,
Yes,
and we'll come back to the ordinance.
that's what I was going to ask for as well.
Yep. So if everyone's good with that, then we'll go to the applicant first. See a lot of head bobs, good.
Go ahead.
So next, under applications is JSM at Hillsborough LLC, file 20-PB-09-MSPV. And the last time we were here, oh, my screen just got very large, was back in March. And I believe we're returning for an additional extension, or an adjournment, sorry. And then obviously an extension to a later date. And participating for the applicant is Mr. Wolfson. So I will turn it over to you, Mr. Wolfson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. Thank you very much for allowing me to get on quickly. I appreciate that. We are working diligently to try to eliminate as many of the variances that were identified by Mr. Maskey and others as we can, increase the size of some of the units to make them better and more livable and more luxurious, and redesign so in a way that we think the board will be much more appreciative of. Frankly, I think it's a better plan, and sometimes, as I said earlier, off the record, sometimes when you get resistance from the town, you end up with a better plan, which I guess at the end of the day is the planning board's job to a great extent. So we appreciate that input. Having said that, we would like to request another adjournment of the application to let us complete our plans. I'm told they'll be ready for June, and I understand that you have 2 meetings in June, and just to be safe, if the board has room on the agenda, we would prefer the second or the later meeting in June, just to be sure. We'll come in and present our application at that time for that cost cutters, I use the term loosely, redevelopment, so that we can basically get in and show you what we've done and hopefully make you proud of what we're doing on the essentially the gateway of getting into the town. So with that said, we request that adjournment. I don't know the last extension that I signed, Eric, but of course I'll extend through July or whatever time you think is appropriate. I'll represent that on the record, and I also will sign whatever the form is that, is it Miss Paget?
Yeah, we have the last extension you gave us was till June 30th.
All right, so just to be safe, why don't I give you one through the end of July?
Okay.
And that'll be, cover all the bases in case something happens in a farm or something this way. There's no issue for the board. So we would like to accommodate you in that respect, if we can, of course. So if you have Ms. Paget, just send me that. I'll sign it and scan it back to Eric or the board at the board's convenience.
Yeah, back to Deborah. That'd be fine.
That'd be great. So I appreciate that. Please, that request on behalf of JSM and Hillsborough LLC is to carry to the later of the June meetings.
Yeah, that'd be June 10th, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Open up to any board members. Any questions, comments?
That's the second one, Dave?
Yes, it's June 3rd and June 10th are the two.
Got it.
So
Thank you very much.
you want June 10th, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great.
Okay, so Eric, would it be appropriate to open to the public?
Yes.
Okay. All right, may I have a motion to open to public?
On this issue alone.
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
All right.
All right, okay, if there's anyone from the public that would like to comment on the application of particularly of the applicant's representative, please raise your virtual hand or press *9 to be recognized. Okay, we have a hand raised. And once promoted, please state your name and address for the record.
Hello?
Yep, go ahead.
Maria Janusik, 720 East Frick Avenue, Manville. So are there going to be changes made to this, to the plan?
Don't know yet.
Did I answer that, Mr. Chairman?
Please do to the best that you can.
Yes, we had made a presentation earlier to the planning board, ma'am. We got reports from Mr. Maskey and we got feedback from the board as to things that they didn't like, things that they did, things that they'd like to see. And we are making revisions to those plans in order to try to accommodate those observations and requests to make the plan better and more acceptable to the board and the public. And we will be revising and sending those plans in more than 10 days in advance of the next hearing so that it can be reviewed online or by anybody that I guess reaches out to the board, secretary or planner.
Okay, so you're saying 10 days before the next meeting, those revisions will be available?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, 10 days.
10 days before the appearance of the applicant before the board, not the next meeting.
Which you're saying is going to be June 10th, more or less?
Right. So
That's what's been requested.
May 30th, June, something like whatever. 10 days before it has to be in.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you both. Anyone else from the public? Okay, seeing none, motion to close the public.
So moved.
Motion.
Okay. I'll let Mike to figure that one out.
Scobo.
Yeah.
Hashtag second.
All right, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, we need a motion to carry this hearing until June the 10th, 2021 at 7:30 PM or soon thereafter as the matter may be heard without further notice and extension of time of decision through July 31st.
okay. And as I'll just remind the board, it can be with or without notice. And I believe the last time we had any testimony was back on December 17th of last year. And that was probably the last time that was noticed, was part of that meeting. So I will leave it up to the board, any board members that want to make the motion to extend to June 10th. Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Chairman, Mayor Lapani here. In an effort to be transparent with the delay of the project, I would ask the applicant to, being that it has been so long with it, to courtesy would be to renotice.
Okay, so would you like to make the motion
I would like a motion with extended but with notice, please.
to June 10th?
I'll second it. Scobo.
And Scobo has seconded. Comments from the board? Okay, I see the head shakings back and forth, so we will go to roll call, please.
Mr. Ciccarelli,
Yes.
Mr. Wagner,
Yes.
Mr. Peason,
Yes.
Mr. Santa Ramita,
Yes.
Mr. Scobo,
Yes.
Mr. Hastag,
Yes.
Mayor Lapani,
Yes.
Vice Chair Julian,
Yes.
Chair Sirachi.
Yes.
Chairman, Mr. Mayor, members of the board, thank you very much.
All
Happy
right.
birthday again, Eric. I will see everybody on the 10th. We understand we will send out new notices and we'll see you then.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so now we'll go back up. We do have consideration of ordinances. This evening, we have ordinance 2021-07. Essentially, it's ordinance, Township of Hillsborough, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 188, Land Use and Development, Article 5, Districts and Standards, Section 188-97, prohibited uses of the Code of the Township of Hillsborough to prohibit the operation of any class of cannabis business within the geographical boundaries of the Township of Hillsborough. So, Mr. Bernstein, can you tell us, what is our role with reviewing this evening's ordinance?
Well, you're looking, Mr. Chairman, ostensibly to ensure that this is in conformance with the existing master plan and related ordinances. I will give the board at least a slight background in cannabis law. You'll be sorry. Many municipalities, once the word was out that the state was considering allowing for recreational marijuana, which would be the growing, selling, or distribution of same, started adopting ordinances either inviting such businesses into town or wanting no part of them. The legislature finally, after much harangue, passed such legislation earlier this year, and the governor signed it on February 22nd. And part of the legislation ostensibly voided all of those ordinances and actions taken by all of the municipalities across the state, not only the ones who wanted marijuana, but who didn't want marijuana, and have given municipalities such as Hillsborough 180 calendar days to decide whether or not they want to see either growing, distribution, or retail sale, or any combination thereof. If a municipality obviously chooses to adopt an ordinance allowing for such, the world moves forward. In the absence of an ordinance being adopted by a municipality staking their position on the issue prior to, but not by August 22nd, 2021, the municipality will not be permitted to prevent any such businesses from coming into their municipality for a period of 5 years, at which point after 5 years, they will get another 180-day crack to take an action if they have not already. What a number of municipalities are doing, and I believe Hillsborough falls into this category, and I have several towns that I represent that also fall into this category, they have chosen to take the broader option, which is to ban all 6 classes of sale of recreational marijuana within the boundaries of the governing body. That doesn't prevent the municipality from at a future time considering an amendment to the ordinance, but it allows them the time frame given to them by the legislature to make at least an initial decision prior to the expiration or such where they lose that opportunity. It is my understanding in my review of the ordinance that is what this ordinance does. It basically establishes for the municipality a prohibited use, which is, as you know, as members of the board, we have a number of prohibited uses throughout the township in various zoning districts. This would ostensibly be an across the board prohibited use. And because it is a zoning ordinance, it is coming before you all as part of your requirements under the municipal land use law to review same.
Okay.
Told you you'd be
Thank you.
sorry.
No, it's all good. And just for clarification, it's my understanding too that the legislature hasn't finished with their statutes surrounding.
The legislature has to at least to this issue, we believe, relatively close to completing. There are some other unrelated matters in terms of use, in terms of how, in terms of where, et cetera, that they are still trying to address. But as to the issue of the sale, distribution, and growing of what I would call recreational marijuana versus medical marijuana, I would say they're pretty close.
Okay.
I think there's an occasional tinker bill, but this is pretty much it.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Maskey, any comments?
No, nothing to add, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so I'll open up to the board members. Anyone, questions, comments?
Yeah, I have a comment. As a farm town, is there any issue of parsing out and making growing okay and the other stuff not? Or, you know, what's the theory on that?
Yeah, when the town decides if they want to go forward to opt in, as they put it, there's 6 classifications. It's a mix and match. You can allow one and not the other, or 2 and not 3. One of which is at the beginning, the front end, which is the agricultural growing. So Yes, it's
I
not
would-
an all or nothing proposition.
I would point out to the members of the board that it is not growing in the traditional agricultural sense you are used to. Marijuana does not grow well outside in the weather we have here in New Jersey. So you are tending to see it being grown in hoop houses, greenhouses, industrial buildings and the like, where the temperature and the humidity can be controlled. So just as a generic comment, you won't see anybody with a tractor, and you shouldn't be seeing people growing, marijuana plants up and down what you normally would find, rows of corn or wheat, etc. It simply is not hardy enough for this weather to be grown outside.
Yeah, there is one wrinkle in the ordinance that, and Bill Willard produced this, and I talked to him about it. You'll see in there that it does still allow, although delivery services is one of the classifications, it doesn't, and I don't believe you can prohibit delivery from another town.
No.
So see that extra statement in there. So you can't have a business located in Hillsborough that delivers. But if there was one located in Manville or Franklin or Montgomery, and you ordered some, I guess, and they delivered, that's not prohibited.
In other words, Amazon can deliver it.
There is a First Amendment prohibition on a municipality prohibiting delivery service from another municipality that may allow for such. The legislature has ostensibly written it in the bill. A lot of these ordinances require that, but you cannot prevent if, for example, somebody in Franklin decided was allowed to sell, that somebody has the right, or Amazon, so long as, by the way, it is grown here in New Jersey. What we do not believe that exemption allows is for it to be grown, for example, as you may all be aware, recreational marijuana is now legal in New York. And I would suspect Pennsylvania will not be too far behind. We don't believe the legislature intended to allow out-of-state deliveries from Amazon and the like, from fill in the blank, California, Colorado, New York, etc. It's mostly in-state.
Yeah, and Eric, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe this has any impact on medical marijuana. I believe this has maintained direct control over licensing and location.
Well, that's correct. This folks is strictly as it relates to, well, as I said, I apologize for calling it that, but that's what they're calling it, is recreational marijuana and its various uses. Medical marijuana has been allowed in the state of New Jersey for several years. It is highly regulated by the state as to the number of licenses. Obviously, the municipality has the right to accept or reject a medical marijuana facility. I've had a couple of clients who have accepted it. I've had a number of clients who want no part of it. But that is very different from what you're being asked tonight to address, which is basically the recreational marijuana piece.
Great. Any additional questions, comments?
Yeah. Sorry, I have a question. So it sounds like it prohibits the sale of it and the growing of it. Is there any parameters or ability to prohibit the use of it in public? Like amongst towns,
Well, therein lies the other problem that's not covered by this ordinance. The state allows the use of recreational marijuana in public above the age of 21, except where you prohibit the smoking of cigarettes and vapes, and why you will find, and I can't answer, maybe the mayor can, a number of my clients are busily trying to amend their outdoor smoking regulations to conform to the vaping and to the marijuana smoking provisions. But people are allowed to walk around with and smoking, so long as where they are smoking, it is not prohibited to be. For example, we have, I'm actually dealing with a client. If you're outdoor resident, they're outside.
right? Or if that was to be looked at, that would be handled separately, not on this board.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, this Ken is, okay. Who was that? This again, it's basically a land use ordinance, so it's treating, the business end of it. Behavioral stuff, that's another thing. That's not part of the zoning ordinance.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Bernstein, do we know how any of our neighboring municipalities are, or if they're adopting similar ordinances?
I can't tell you what the neighboring towns are doing per se, John. I can tell you that we represent 5 municipalities across the state. I can tell you 4 of them are passing this ordinance, and one of them actually wants it. I won't say where. It's not local. But right now, what people are doing is they're ostensibly passing this ordinance. This is what I would call a protection ordinance.
Yes, I agree.
Protection from the concept, if we don't do anything, then we end up with a plethora of these establishments all over town, whether we want them or not. What this allows, and David, I think correctly and very well stated, this is ostensibly a hold. You've got 6 categories. The governing body will have the right, once they adopt this, to then re-examine whether or not they want to go forward with any changes in it as they so see fit. But right now, at least gives them the time to do it, rather than trying to rush this through and trying to make decisions when you've got an August 22nd time clock ticking.
Right. And so by August 22nd, we'll know. We'll know what.
Well,
other
no,
towns-
they don't have to. August
Well, I mean,
22nd,
we'll know which other towns have adopted a similar.
you will know by August 22nd, if not sooner, which towns have adopted. I would probably suggest that in this county, a vast majority of those towns will adopt the same ordinance that you are being asked to review tonight. I can only think of maybe 1 or 2 that might not. But I think basically what everybody's trying to do is they're trying to take a long, deep breath, no pun intended, and then take a longer, hard look at what they want.
Okay, thanks.
So John, just to find, I've read Bridgewater has introduced. Or at least-
Bridgewater is dead set again. Bridgewater's already passed. They are dead set against anything related to marijuana use, growing, or distribution in town. Much to my unhappiness. I think the mayor had.
So ostensibly, if you do not do anything for the edification of the board, all 6 licenses would be a permitted use in both industrial and commercial zones as a conditional use. So what we are doing is to create a change in our zone that would prohibit, to protect our industrial and commercial zones from same, and then at any point in the future, and we have to, even if we do nothing now, in 5 years, go back here and kick the can again, bring in any new zoning changes we want to, with the time allotted to do proper due diligence and information. But if we do nothing, they become an unconditional use of all 6 licenses.
I will point out before anybody starts jumping on, they are not permitted in residential zones, period. There is no allowing of these businesses in a residential zone, even if the governing body were to take no action. You cannot have, somebody wants to open up a retail business. This is not a home occupancy kind of business. So before somebody focuses in on that item.
Yeah, and what just from a formatting standpoint for the board's edification and amusement, there's a small section in the ordinance 18897 called prohibited uses, which is across the board. So there are 4 uses listed now in that section that says you can't have in any zone, anywhere, anyhow. So we have motor freight terminals, storage of flammable chemicals or gases, above ground tank farms, adult bookstores. This would be a 5th prohibited use, regardless of what zone you're in the town.
Okay, and before we proceed, somehow Mr. Scobell threw himself out of our room. and he's hanging outside. We could promote him.
He's knocking on the door once.
While we're waiting for Mr. Scobo, does any other board member have any other questions of myself, Mr. Maskey, or anyone else?
Yes, Mr. Bernstein.
Back in.
If federal law changes, does this ordinance, is it affected in any way?
No, actually, right now, federal law prohibits. I will indicate to the board just for shits and giggles, I have a client who is debating what they want to do about it. And we represent a housing authority and all of their land is federal. So while it is now legal to carry and or consume outside, it is not illegal to carry or consume outside on housing authority property because it is federal land and the federal government prohibits marijuana use. So welcome to, by the way, this is not unique to New Jersey. This is, all of the other states that have passed this law are facing the same issues. If the feds decide that they will now want to take marijuana off the schedule, then it won't change the issue here, except for the fact that you won't be charged with a federal crime, which you can be now.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else comments, questions? Okay. So take a motion to open to public.
So moved,
So
Mr.
moved, Santa
Chairman.
Romita.
I'm gonna give it to Mr. Peason as making the motion and Mr. Santa Romita for second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, if there's anyone in the audience that may have a question or a comment as it relates to planning and zoning, for this ordinance, please raise your virtual hand. And I do see one, Ms. Gulliford, so please promote Ms. Gulliford. You're in, name and the
Okay.
rest for the record.
Susan Gulliford, Hunt Club Road.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, that exemption that you were discussing on the delivery, that does not meet the definition of the Class 6 license regarding deliveries, or is there something more specific about that particular class?
The Class 6 condition as to deliveries relates to what is existing within the geographic boundaries of the Township of Hillsborough. We cannot prohibit if, I'll use an example. If Rocky Hill decided to turn itself into a distribution center and people could order online to a distributor in Rocky Hill, they could come into Hillsborough and deliver their product. But you cannot have a delivery service located within the Township of Hillsborough at this time if the governing body adopts this ordinance.
So a Class 6 then breaks down by whether the delivery service is coming from an outside. No, I'm
Right.
kind of,
A municipality cannot, Susan, regulate what is outside of its geographic boundaries under the First Amendment. Now, if everybody decided not to allow for distribution, then obviously it doesn't matter. But the assumption is that there will be places here in New Jersey, we already know some, who are going to allow for the distribution or opening up distribution centers for such items, and they will be allowed to distribute to parties outside of the geographic boundaries of where they exist, so long as they are complying with other aspects of the law regarding what they're selling, et cetera.
okay, thank you.
So I think this allows, if someone was driving through the town, correct? Maybe going from, say, Montgomery to Somerville, it allows that process. It's not necessarily delivering to.
That's also, but
Right, so it's just, you cannot stop a delivery through your town.
Can't stop a delivery. You can't stop an individual who happens to be transporting it for personal use or happens to have some on him or her, and they are pulled over, there's all kinds of regulations relative now to stop and, those kind of issues. But
Thank you. Anyone else from the from the public that wishes? Comment, questions? Raise your virtual hand, press *9. Okay, see no more, so motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Aye.
So, Mr. Bernstein, what actions or
this
options do we
is
have
a
to take?
motion, Mr. Chairman, to endorse the adoption of ordinance number 2021-07, an ordinance of the Township of Hillsborough, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 188, Land Use Development, Article 5, Districts and Standards, Section 188-97, Prohibited Uses of the Code of the Township of Hillsborough to prohibit the operation of any class of cannabis business within the geographical boundaries of the Township of Hillsborough, in accordance with the Township's land use ordinances.
Okay, thank you. And, just, my final thoughts on it is, I think right now with the state of where the state is, this is a responsible and, reasonable action to take, because certainly you don't want to sign up if the contract is not complete and be committed to 5 years. It's better to retain control and dictate at a future time, which I'm sure the Township Committee will be thoughtful in that approach going forward. So with that, I will entertain a motion for the for the adoption as stated by Mr. Bernstein.
So moved, Santa Ramita.
Second, Scoba.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ciccarelli,
Yes.
Mr. Wagner,
Yes.
Mr. Peason,
Yes.
Mr. Santa Ramita,
Yes.
Mr. Scobo,
Yes.
Mr. Hestag,
Yes.
Mayor Lapani,
Yes.
Vice Chair Julian,
Yes.
Chair Sirachi.
Yes. All right, thank you. And I think with that, we have come to the end of our agenda. We do have a meeting next week on the 13th.
Correct.
David,
Yes.
what's on that agenda? So just everyone's aware, I believe it has something to do with Sunnymede School.
Yes, there's an expansion of the parking lot and circulation in front of the Sunnymead School.
Okay.
And we'll also have a presentation from David Coyce. He's put together a 10-15-minute slideshow on the history of zoning in Hillsborough Township.
All right, so bring your popcorn.
Yes.
All right, so with that, I will entertain a motion of adjournment.
So moved, Mayor Labani.
Second, hashtag.
There we go, real quick on that. So all
Lots
in
of
favor?
Aye.
All in favor, yes.
Aye.
Aye. All right, so we are adjourned. Good night, everyone, and see you all next week.
Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Night.
Happy birthday, Eric.
Thank you.
Yeah, happy birthday.